Oh, wait, yay, yay, yay. So happy to be here with you, Sarah. And our Rise Women Roundtable today is two. So,
Wonderful.
yes, the two of us, but it happens to be really, I think, somewhat maybe universally set up somehow because I know your birthday is coming up in early February. And what the thing we're going to look at is the February cross quarter because it's an amazing one this year. It's being initiated by the Aquarius new moon on January 29th. And there's so much going on with that new moon. I actually have a video. I think it's about a 20-minute video. I'll put it in the show notes. If you want to get the details on that, you can look at that because I really want to focus here on what's happening on February 1st. And that is that we're having the last Venus moon conjunction um, before Venus goes retrograde. Venus goes retrograde, there'll be a Venus moon conjunction that day. That's on March 1st. But on February 1st, we have this Venus moon conjunction, and it's with Neptune and North Node all at 28 degrees Pisces. So this is so rare. And also, this is the crown chakra. So we can say we've got the evening star Venus. If you haven't seen her in the evening sky, she is so bright. She's been near Saturn. She passed by Saturn over the last week or so, and she's on her way to catch up to Jupiter. And that'll be a little ways down the road because she's going to go retrograde, and so we won't see that for a while. But the this Neptune's a 165-year cycle. The nodal axis is an 18 and a half year cycle. Venus and the moon can come back to this position about every 8 years. The moon has a 19-year, for it to come back exact at this time would be probably about 19 years. So this is rare, like a once in a lifetime kind of event that's taking place. And so, if we think about Neptune as the energy of dreaming, how we're dreaming into our reality, how we're accessing the field of all possibilities where we can create and co-create anything that we want if we're tuned into that field. But it also can be a place of illusions and delusions because maybe we're not seeing things for what they really are, and that can be a challenge. But I think that Neptune's essence is really to help us tune into what we know. What is that deeper inner knowing that's beyond logic and reason? So a lot of times we think we know something because it logically makes sense, and then it doesn't necessarily turn out to be true. But then there's a knowing that's like, I don't know how I know that, but it feels true, and then you follow up on that, and it turns out to be true in ways you couldn't have imagined. Um, if there's, I was in a Neptune cycle many years ago, and I was doing a hike with a friend of mine into a slot canyon, and we were doing it at a full moon. And the thing that I wasn't didn't think of, this was like 20 years ago, probably 25 years ago, was that the moon would be tracking low across the sky, so it didn't rise up above the canyon walls that much. So it was pretty dark. We were thinking we'd have moonlight to hike back out, so we hiked in at the end of the day. And it was my first time there. We had to cross the stream several times. I kept getting lost on we were just like bushwhacking and didn't know where the trail was and so on. And suddenly I was like, we have to find the sign that's going to get us out to the parking lot. Because if we pass by that, if we don't see that, then we're going to wind up who knows where. And I had this knowing that if I just kept going straight, I would run into it. And my friend who'd been there hundreds of times, she loved this canyon. She's like, I think the path's over here. And my brain's like, she probably knows what she's talking about. But my knowing was so strong and I just kept going straight. And then my flashlight lit up the sign. And I was like, I'm having a Neptune moment. There was no logical way that I knew where it was, but I was just listening to that deeper inner knowing. So this is very strongly featured with this Venus Moon conjunction with Neptune being right there at the exact same degree. The North Node has to do with our destiny. And so, what are we dreaming into a new destiny that has to do with the divine feminine and also receiving or returning the returning of a reconnection to our crown chakra or to our divine knowing, our divine essence, our divine ability to really connect with something bigger. So, this is just spotlighting that in such an amazing way. So it just so happens to be the crown chakra gate. It just so happens to be Neptune and North Node are there. And, so, and it just so happens to be on February 1st, also known as Imbolc. And I think Irish Celtic culture, that's the cross, they celebrate that as the cross quarter between the December solstice and the March equinox. The exact cross quarter is on February 3rd when the sun reaches 15 Aquarius, when it's at the exact halfway point between the zero Capricorn, and the zero Aries point. 15 Aquarius is that exact halfway point. But, over time, the date that actually happened has shifted. And so, but people didn't update necessarily. So that's why they celebrated on February 1st. And I know you're going to talk about this in a moment, but it's definitely in honor of Bridget, the goddess, for this time. And it's also the time when the seeds are beginning to stir. Everything that was planted at the December solstice, the seeds are beginning to awaken and stir and break open, which is very Aquarian. It's like breaking open we have to break down to break through, or that idea of going beyond whatever it has been so you can get to something new. And the seeds really literally do that. And so sometimes it's unexpected the ways that happens. So the cross quarter point is a time when we recognize the days are really longer now, and we're starting to get towards spring. And then February 2nd happens to be what the Christian holiday is, Candlemas. And I find it fascinating because the Christian holidays were often designed to replace pagan holidays, or ones that they perceived were they didn't want the people celebrating them, so they had to put their own holidays in there so people would celebrate those instead. And so February 2nd, Candlemas, in honor of, they say, the 40 days past the birth of Jesus, past Christmas. So like, okay, whatever. And they decided to do a candlelight ceremony for that. And but however we want to tune into this, and especially this year on February 1st with the Venus Moon conjunction, if you can go outside and see Venus and the Moon together, oh, so good. And to also tune into, what are you dreaming into? And how is that aligned with your destiny? And how are you reconnecting with the divine aspect that has always been with you, but maybe we have forgotten for whatever reasons? And that's the opportunity I feel that we have at this amazing cross quarter coming up quick.
Mm, thank you. Yes, I had spotted that kind of going past, so I'm really pleased that you explained that so beautifully, Kaylin.
Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. So, as you spoke into, and I'll speak on behalf of the Irish women here, and I'm not Irish, but I have friends and clients who are. And by the way, for anybody who is listening, please send Ireland and Scotland. There's a big, big windstorm crossing over. In fact, I think it's left mostly Ireland now, and it's kind of burrowing its way across Scotland. There's many, many people without electricity. So they've had a big thing going on. So sending everybody lots of love, and all the trees that have come down. And so just really bringing that into what we're saying. So on the 31st of January, it's a tradition in Ireland, and it's a beautiful tradition. The women, St Brigid is said, she is a fire goddess, and she is said to pass over the land on the 31st of January during the night. And as she passes over, she spreads a cloak of fire over the land, which warms the land up so that the seeds can burst open. And so, what the Irish do, and maybe I invite anybody who feels called, I did it for the first time last year, believe it or not. I could have done it many years earlier, but I didn't quite get it together. You just take a shawl like this or a scarf, it doesn't matter really what it is, and you hang it outside the night of the 31st of January. And then you go and fetch it in the morning and you bring it inside. And what happens is that when St. Brigid passes over, she will imbue your scarf or the towel or the shawl with healing forces. And what the Irish women do, they all go outside. It's got a name, and I can't actually remember it there, so my apologies for any people, Irish people watching. Um, and when anybody is ill in the house during the year, they wrap the shawl or the towel or the blanket or put it next to the person. Isn't that a beautiful thing to do?
So beautiful. I don't want to say I am Irish, but I did not know that. I mean, by blood, Irish by blood.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's a big tradition, and I only know it because I just see many of my friends and clients doing it. I think it's called the Brigid cloth or something. Anyway, I will let Irish people let us know because I may be wrong, but that's exactly what happens. So that's just something that people might like to do because I think it's a time when we all need to empower ourselves in ways, because sometimes we can feel quite helpless with everything that's going on. And so anything that we can do to bring the power back to us and connect ourselves back to nature, who is going to survive long past us with all of this chaos going on, the better. So, what I wanted to talk about today, or just explore today, as well as just mentioning Bridget, is that what has been in my field for the past few weeks or so is, um, we all know that some people, I wouldn't do it actually in January because I don't have the constitution to do it, but people go on to detoxes. I have to wait till it warms up before I detox. I just don't do well with the cold. But there's this kind of idea of detoxing, isn't it? It's like new beginnings, let's clean the slate. And of course, I think that's great, to start to clear the body of all the wintry sluggishness. In fact, we've had salads for the last few days just next to our warm food. So we do have that kind of energy coming in. But as well, what it just came into my consciousness just a couple of days ago, as well as starting to think about maybe changing our diets and maybe changing the energy in our bodies, it's really, really important, I feel, this year to do regular energy detoxes. And we can do that really easy with our friends, the essences and the oils and the crystals. So for example, I have here a spray that I made up for myself, and it actually says on it, I listen only to my heart. So you can see where, as an Aquarian, I might go sometimes not, Aquarian energy would be quite in the head. So, it's got my own mixture of essences in it. But what you would do with this kind of thing is literally just spray it around you wherever you wanted to, really. This doesn't have any oils in it, but you could. But I would normally, in the essence world, we would say maybe do that a couple of times a day, or if you've been out somewhere and you don't, something happened and or you've been to the shops and when you come out, you want to clear your energy. I would actually say that during these times, we need to do this like 5, 6 times a day. Just keep clearing your energy system, keep clearing it. And of course, you can do that with your own consciousness, whatever your tools are. It doesn't have to be essences, but they're a really nice thing to take with you. So I would really recommend that people think of it's not so much the detox, but the real energy clearing. So there's all different ways that you can do that. I just happen to have a clear quartz crystal. You can make essences with these, or you can buy them, or you can just hold your crystal. And of course, you can take essences internally. So the Alaskan essences, I think I've mentioned this before, but there's just such an easy way. The purification essence from the Alaskan essences, which would be available in Europe and in most places of the world, not just in the States. If you suffer like I do from a little bit of sadness around this time of year, I really don't do well without the light. I work a lot. You can't see this very well because of the lights here, but this is an orange calcite. I love orange calcite because it brings literally brings in the light and helps us warm ourselves up. So there's an essence like that. Um, if you're somebody a bit like me who doesn't work very well with the purification side, So in the batch essences, you could use something like crab apple would work for that if people are more batch essence people. What the crab apple tree actually taught me, because I have used the batch crab apple essence, but I always found it too astringent. I could feel that cleansing quality that doesn't really sit with my very sort of Vata constitution that doesn't do well with that kind of thing. And then on our land here, we have a crabapple tree. I don't know if you've ever met a crabapple, Cayelin. They are beautiful flowers.
Yes.
So I was just like, oh my goodness, this is the most divine, nourishing, pink goddess flower I have ever met. And I just stood there, literally with my mouth open. And what I then realized for me, and I think this aligns with other people as well, because the whole kind of cleanse thing is a little bit harsh sometimes. What I heard was nourish yourself. If you want to cleanse, nourish. Put so much goodness and so much love through your own body, and that by default, there will be no room left. So I tend to cleanse by filling myself up. And that helped me actually use the batch crab apple because I could see how she cleansed. She cleansed by giving you all of her beauty and all of her love. So, many different ways. I work with yarrow a lot for that kind of nourishment. I work with rose quartz, my rose quartz bottle of water here. There's many essences that can work with the nourishment, and it would very much depend on who your kind of constitution. I have a new range of essences that I'm working with. The light here is not happening, but this is Lotus Way essences. They are an American, and they're doing some fabulous work. Lotuswei. I have no affiliation with them, but I'm looking at them thinking, oh my goodness. Anyway, so I bought some of their essences, and this one's called Joy Juice. Mm.
Yes, we need more joy for sure.
Laughter,
Yeah,
playfulness, and happiness. And I was like, I'm going to buy that. I need some of that. So, yeah, so that's how I tend to deal with these kind of darker winter times is do my best to fill myself up with what my soul and my physical body needs. Um, and that helps me a lot with my own mood and my own ability to hold space for myself, basically.
beautiful.
Mm,
I'm loving what you're sharing so much because I feel like it's not that we have to get rid of the old negative energy. We just uplift it, like you were saying, we just uplift it into a higher vibrational
yes.
energy. There's so many ways to do that. So it doesn't have to be like this harsh kind of, hike that mountain, get to the
Yeah.
top, whatever it is that feels like you have to really push through to make it happen. But to come from a more loving space for ourselves, and then we're that naturally going to be coming from a more loving space for all those around us.
And I'm not
Love it.
sure if it was this because I know, Kaylin, we both have come from the same lineage of priestesses, but so I'm not sure if it was Nicole Christine who said this, but all of us is needed. Was it
Yeah,
her who said that? And
I'm
that
sure she
really
said
touched
that.
me.
She might have said that because somebody else said that, but she definitely said that.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah. So, because so often we try to push away the shadow side or the bit that we don't like, whereas in fact we are whole. And we go, today I feel sad or today I feel this. It's just like if we try not to feel that, I mean, it's obviously not great to walk around, like crying for 6 months. We need to try and move ourselves out of it. But sometimes we need to feel all of who we are.
exactly. Yeah. And when we're denying any aspect of ourselves, it actually gives it more energy.
Yeah.
And so, and it can also push it further out of our awareness as well.
Yeah.
So sometimes we're denying aspects of ourselves that are really amazing.
Yeah.
Why
Absolutely.
would we want to do that? I mean, we don't consciously want to do that. Maybe that's part of our subconscious pattern.
So would
So
that be the kind of Neptunian energy out of balance?
yes,
Mhm.
yes. Absolutely. There's so much. It's like if you feel of the vast field of pure consciousness, Neptune, the vast field of pure consciousness, we can't know it all from there. I mean, it's like we can know it all in maybe certain states of consciousness, um, but it would be a different kind of knowing that we don't know that we would know. That's a very Neptunian, like, oh, so I'm going to enter into a multidimensional. I think of it as being very multidimensional realm of reality. And it's not a mental knowing, it's a knowing that is beyond and not connected to anything that we have thought of in our physical bodies as a knowing. Um, I mean,
Yeah.
I'm still very much, it's like I'll even question certain knowings that I've had. And but still done it anyway. And it turned out better than, as I said, like in my one example, is it turned out better than I could have possibly imagined.
Mhm. Yeah.
So, yeah,
Good to understand. I have a lot of apparently Neptunian energy hanging around my field, so that would make sense.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So it's just trust what we know that we don't know how we know. I mean, that's the thing I think is that we feel like we should know how we know it, but sometimes we just have a knowing and it's not something that we know how we know it. We just know it. But it's a different kind of knowing. It's not a left brain, linear, logical, rational kind of knowing. Something beyond that. Yeah. So, and I think all these practices that you gave us, Sarah, are so good. I'm like inspired because I think I have the Alaskan essences. I have some of the other one. I haven't been, I'm now more inspired to use them several times a day.
Yeah, well, it's easy to forget. I forget.
Yeah.
So I need, it's a good way to remind ourselves is life
Yeah.
sometimes takes us out of that zone. And I really do feel this is the Neptunian knowing. I mean, obviously,
Yes.
a big logical piece to it as well, but I'm just like, no, in order to come through this period, survive in inverted commas, all of this as intact as we possibly can, we need to stay really in a field of heart discernment for us, for
Yes.
ourselves, which might be different for somebody else, obviously. And using essences is one of the ways that I know that can be really, really helpful. So
That's
subtle, but
great.
so powerful.
Yeah, such a great tool and one that's easy for anybody to use, really.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not like you have to be a master at meditation or certain kind of other sort of practices or spray an essence or take an essence or whatever. It's like easy to do. I love it. Yeah.
Mm.
So I feel like unless you have anything else you want to say, I
And
feel like we're
that was my what
uh,
wants to come
thank
through
you.
for today. Yeah.
Yes, thank you so much. I'm super inspired, and I hope this is inspiring to everybody else. Be sure to check out the show notes for ways to connect to Sarah. And then also, Sarah, you might send me a link to like the Alaskan essences. I can put that in the show
Sure.
notes and yeah, those kinds of things. So,
Okay. Yeah, and
hey,
thanks for all of your Venus input, Caitlin.
yes,
Cool.
you're so welcome. Thank you, everyone. Hope you have a fabulous, amazing get to see, maybe have clear skies and get to see Venus and the moon. You
Put
won't
your
see
shawl outside.
the node, but yeah, right. Yeah, the day after you put your go outside and see it with a shawl on. How cool would
Yeah, there you go. Mm.
that would be like, and then you get infused by the Venus moon. You won't see the North Node or Neptune, but you get infused by all of that because they're right there together. That
Wow.
would be amazing.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're
Wow.
doing it.
We're doing it. Okay.
Okay. Bye
All
bye.
right. Bye, everyone.
Bye.